So I've been using this new 15-inch base MacBook Air for over a week now, and I think I'm having a deja vu of sorts. I did a lot of stuff on it, tested it in every way, and I found that this laptop is not like what other reviewers are painting it to be. I can't believe what I'm saying, but this laptop is quite an interesting thing. So in this video, I'm gonna share with you everything I have found in over a week of using this 15-inch M2 MacBook Air. I just love how compact and small this 15-inch laptop is. When you think of a 15-inch laptop, the image that pops in your head is a bulky, plasticky laptop that weighs like a small planet, has literal propellers for fans, and all those terrible things. But this laptop is different. Built from aluminum, the 15-inch MacBook Air is extremely sleek and light. The design is identical to what we have on the 13-inch MacBook Air, so here goes my deja vu. Same flat sides with slightly rounded edges, almost the same thickness, and overall a very similar look. However, the bigger size and the way it was achieved does present a few issues with the visuals that keep bugging me. One of those issues is all that empty space on the left and right side of the keyboard. On the 13-inch model, there was much less empty space due to the small size of the laptop, but here, on the 15-inch model, these empty blank spots just look ridiculous. I understand that Apple was just cutting down costs on this laptop, but it seems like the initial design wasn't created with a 15-inch model in mind. But if you can look past that, you'll be pretty satisfied with how this laptop looks. Another small design-related issue is with the ports. The 15-inch MacBook Air shares the same port layout as the 13-inch model, and I'm not happy about it. With the bigger size of the laptop, we have all this extra space, but Apple decided to not introduce any changes. How about moving the headphone jack to the left side? It's much more convenient this way. Or how about giving us one extra USB-C port? I thought this laptop was supposed to fix mistakes made with the 13-inch Air, but it simply cements them. Well, aside from that, the design is great. The laptop is super light, portable, and very pleasant to use. I especially like the bigger trackpad. It's just enormous here. If you put two laptops side by side, you'll see how much bigger the trackpad on the 15-inch MacBook is, and I don't need to explain why a bigger trackpad is better than a smaller one. Now let's take a quick pause and talk about this video sponsor, Medicino. If you use your iPhone to record videos or you're just more passionate about good photos than other people, then the MagSafe-enabled phone mount from Medicino is what you need. To me, it became a perfect solution for recording videos. The Medicino tripod mount is specially designed for MagSafe-compatible iPhones and cases and ensures a secure and reliable connection. And it's also super versatile. With a 1/4 inches connector at the bottom, it works with any 1/4 inches tripod, so you'll have no problem securely mounting your phone, and the design of the mount allows for a fast switching between portrait and landscape modes. Made from a solid piece of aluminum, the mount remains rigid even when fully loaded with accessories and a phone. The confidence of knowing that your phone and other devices aren't gonna break loose is something we all need, let's just admit it. Plus, it includes two cold shoe mounts, a 1/4 inches to 1/4 inches male thread adapter, and a 1/4 inches to 3/8 inches male thread adapter, offering you even more flexibility. This phone mount is really perfect for people who want to step up their videography and photography. It combines functionality, versatility, and top-notch construction, ensuring that you capture every moment with precision and style. I will leave a link in the description, so you know what to do. Another thing that I like after using this laptop is the display size. 15 inches of screen real estate feels so nice. There's just so much space for stuff. Apps are now larger, videos bigger, and the system feels nicer too. The larger display also means that you have more space for icons up top in the menu bar. Also, the notch feels not as intrusive here as it did on the 13-inch Air. It just takes way less space and is easier to ignore. I like that. But overall, this is still a very nice display. It's only 60 Hz, so no fancy pro motion here, but it goes up to 500 nits of brightness and supports P3 color gamut. This makes it great for working with colors, even in bright outdoor environments. I would still not recommend using this laptop under direct sunlight, since 500 nits is not enough to fully compensate for that. But if you plan on using this laptop mostly at home or in the office, this screen will be more than you need, and you will rarely crank up the brightness to the max. It also feels appropriate to talk about the speakers. I've had no issues with speakers on the 13-inch MacBook Air most of the time. And I have almost no questions here. Yes, the speakers are still hidden in between the display hinge and the keyboard, which makes the sound slightly less loud and detailed as it is on the MacBook Pros, but these two additional tweeters, making a total of 6 speakers, do make a difference. Not a huge one, but still. The sound is slightly louder and richer, making this laptop great for casual movie watching. Of course, if I wanted to experience, let's say, The Lord of the Rings in its full glory, I would still choose the MacBook Pro for this task, but not everyone is like me, and for the majority of people watching this, the speakers will be more than fine. Next up, we should quickly glance on a few minor things, like the keyboard, which is still great here. I think Apple just took it straight from the 13-inch model without changing a single thing. Keys have enough travel, the size is spot on, it's great in every way. Well, almost every way. It's been a week of using this laptop and the problem hasn't surfaced yet, but it will eventually. The keys on all modern MacBooks are made from probably not the best plastic ever, so in a few months, your keys will start getting all glossy and gross, so keep that in mind. This 15-inch MacBook Air is not an exception, so you better get ready to spend some dough on new keycaps in a year or two. Another small thing is the webcam and microphones. They are identical to the 13-inch model, absolutely the same. The webcam can film in 1080p with a lot of post-processing, but I am very much pleased with the quality of both video and audio. Microphones are doing a great job at processing voice, so you can be rest assured that in all meetings you're gonna attend, you will look sharp and sound crystal clear. And now we finally arrive at the most controversial part of this laptop, the performance. This is the base model equipped with the M2 chip that has 8 CPU cores and 10 GPU cores, 8 gigs of unified memory and 256 gigs of SSD. The M2 technically is the last tier chip, and it performs accordingly. The 15-inch model has an unbent M2 with 10 GPU cores, which technically should give the laptop slightly more punch, but at the same time it theoretically should make the laptop run hotter. So, how does it really perform? Well, in day-to-day tasks, the laptop performs quite decently. Websites launch fast and are responsive. The apps also launch fast. Even the heavy apps like Photoshop or Final Cut all open quickly. I can say that this laptop has enough power for an average user, even in its base configuration. 8 CPU cores are almost always idling when you're browsing the web, and the same goes for the GPU cores. The chip itself is more powerful than most people realize. However, the chip is not the only thing that contributes to the overall performance. The amount of unified memory and the speed of SSD play a huge role. And as we all know from the 13-inch model, the 8 gigs of unified memory and a slow single chip 256 gig SSD are a huge bottleneck for this chip. The 8 gigs of memory get filled up rather quickly, even from casual use. If you open up more than 10 to 15 tabs in Safari, you will start seeing small stutters here and there. The web size and the system will start getting less and less responsive the more tabs you open. This could have been avoided if Apple used a 2-chip SSD design, which would have doubled the speeds and made swap effective. In the current configuration, the swap is simply ineffective, which basically turns this $1,300 laptop into an unusable piece of metal and glass as soon as you cross a certain threshold. Well, of course, I'm exaggerating a bit, and not everyone will have a ton of apps and tabs opened at once like I do, but still. This laptop for sure can handle even demanding tasks, but only if there are no other things happening at the same time. You can edit even 4K videos on it with effects and color grading, and the process will feel quite smooth and fast. However, rendering everything will not be fast, even with all the encoders in the chip. But the speed of the render isn't the only problem. You will simply run out of space, and it will probably happen faster than you finish one project in Final Cut. And God forbid you from rendering something and browsing the web at the same time. It will take ages to render, and the browsing experience won't be perfect either. Absolutely the same could be said about any heavy task like photo editing, music creation, 3D. Any power-intensive task can cripple this Mac pretty badly and do it fast. Small and slow SSD coupled with only only 8 gigs of unified memory is already quite a cocktail. But the absence of a fan only makes things worse. Also, this Mac has 10 GPU cores, which generates more heat than the 8 cores on the base 13-inch, which basically eliminates the benefit of having more heat dissipation area. Yes, due to the bigger size of the 15-inch model, there is slightly more space to dissipate heat, but this still doesn't mean that the laptop is not prone to thermal throttling, because it is. After only a few minutes of heavy workload, the chip heats up and drops frequencies. If the SSD was faster and there was more memory on board, many processes would have completed before the system got hot to the point of throttling. But this is the base machine, so get ready for serious slowdowns. Yet the one thing that doesn't disappoint in any way is the battery life. This laptop has quite a big battery inside, and it does mean a long battery life. In my experience, it is very similar to the 13-inch in this regard, so you can count on 10 to 12 hours of web browsing and 12 to 15 hours of movie watching from downloads. Under workload, I've been getting 8 to 9 hours. Battery life is great, and the laptop hasn't let me down a single time. If you are planning on buying this laptop to learn something like video editing, photo editing, or 3D modeling, the base configuration is surely not the one to buy. To make this Mac more usable, you'll have to get 16 gigs of memory, which is a $200 upgrade, and 512 gigs of storage, which is another $200. This way, the total price will be $1,700, which is outrageous. Most reviewers are calling this laptop a perfect machine for most people, but I do not agree. This is a perfect machine only for people who are not planning to grow, whose needs are stationary. Because if you're a student in college, the chances are you'll start getting limited with this laptop pretty quickly, and then you'll just have to buy a new laptop. Yet, even despite all that, I still love this Mac. It can be slow and hot, but it is a great little machine that can become a trusty companion. It is not perfect, but this exact trait makes me like it. It doesn't always make things easier, which can bring some excitement and wonder to the user experience. There's always a mystery when it's gonna fail. And it's hella fun to push this hardware to its limits just to see how resilient and strong this laptop is. Anyway, thank you for watching, guys. I will continue using this device and keep you posted on my findings. See you in the next one, and peace.